honestly, for the last few days, I don't know why what Enzo Maresca epic from Chelsea, the sporting directors and all of those things. I really do not know what Maresca is looking for, to be very, very honest with you, because the kind of things I've seen Enzo Maresca say, the kind of things I've seen him do, how those things have led to a lot of tension in and around between him and the Chelsea sporting director, so has been very, very interesting. In fact, from the game against Everton, after said Chelsea Bowie, it was very, very telling. Say Enzo Maresca was disappointed about something. Emma Mibabe video has in that video I explained that I think that Enzo Maresca was generally disappointed about everything that has gone on. But of course, Chelsea, once people begin to see things like this, they tend to blow it out of proportion, and people have questioned whether Enzo Maresca has a problem with Chelsea sporting directors, or he doesn't. What is the issue? Oh, Chelsea, hold on. And all of these things, and then Enzo Maresca has spoken about, and he has been very, very clear on the things that he wants to do. He has been clear on the story as Chelsea Football Club, why he said certain things that he did, and then of course, why he thinks that he has every right to be disappointed in the people that have done the things that he wants to do. Of course, so we'll talk about all of that. Of course, there's updates also from Football Club Barcelona. We'll talk about that. There's the conversation around Tima Jeffredo. Real Madrid, we'll talk about that as well. Any club, Liverpool, Manchester United, or also on Fiifi-Manfred. I want to say a big thank you to all of you who are on Fiifi-Manfred YouTube for choosing me. About analysis, they only said the best one for you to get to the one. I'm just, like I said 2 days ago, traveling a little bit. So I'm trying to still keep up with the time zones and stuff like that. But mind you, today like this, there are 2 videos about them for you to enjoy. Of course, I'm most likely I can bring you some more as well ornament subsequently every day. Throughout the Christmas day, 3 videos regularly. No break for me. But of course, I'm away from the screens for just 1 week. I was on Fiifi-Manfred YouTube. Where do we go from here? How do we get into things, the details of Chelsea in sanction? But first, let me say a big thank you to MOB Clothing. Charlie, I was at MOB's place. Charlie, solid place. Solid. See, open tardy party at MOB. I'm telling you, if you want the best kind of clothes to wear in this country, it's MOB Clothing that you need to reach out to. And my kind of several times, or Aboso kind post office. MOB to do a flower station to do the Honor MOB or Michelle. Open BBA and Tadi and Quadia for MOB on 05 0200 668 0200 668 Of course, for Yesumodi 059 I was so kind post office. Just reach out to him. Yesumo take very good care of you. And Bibia come pap. Of course, it was a very good one over the weekend for Enzo Maresca and Managerial because they needed to win. In fact, Chelsea had not won in 4 games and they had to find a way to get results. And people kept on asking, Enzo Maresca and Managerial will get back to winning ways. Maybe they are just not good enough. A lot of questions were asked of them. And they had to come back and get the results. And that's exactly what they did against Everton. Of course, inside Everton game, I couldn't bring you the quickest post-match reaction. But then after that, I spoke about the game, especially in the morning, what the players did, the importance of the team, how important for the team to win that game, the kind of things Enzo Maresca can, which is very, very important. But Jacobs Ben had a conversation about Bonting. Now, Jacobs Ben about Bonting had some insight of what he thinks, especially also from his insiders, our Chelsea Hall, about why Enzo Maresca. Maresca did mention that in the last 48 hours, he has been the most disappointed since he became a Chelsea manager. Or say, oh no, since he became a Chelsea manager, no, or who disappointment be say that, and maybe because of certain reasons. I did the analysis and I felt like, it was probably down to the general uproar from Chelsea fans, when it comes to the games that they lost, especially after the Atalanta game. Maybe it was the general uproar that came from that. So maybe that wasn't the issue or now. In fact, right after say Chelsea, Charlie, if you see the things that came out, in fact, I saw about 4 or 5 articles that were very, very interesting. One article did mention the kind of coach that will replace Enzo Maresca if he leaves Chelsea Football Club. One article also mentioned, say, Chelsea, any sporting directors, and there are issues over there for him. People kept on saying, Masa, Onye di no nye na adwuma. And of course, I mean, if you look at currently in football, nobody cares about a manager coming out to come and make a lot of noise about it. Nobody cares about that. And when you look at the conversation around it, Obi and Fasad, you need to deliver. I say, who we knew games. One share their thanks will always be thanks. So now, Jacobs Ben, first thing about Barca was that Chelsea's owners remained calm after Maresca's surprise outburst. According to Jacobs Ben, Chelsea owners were surprised. They were surprised. Hey, Enzo Maresca, oh, you don't want to bonnet. But he's saying all of a sudden, you are essentially attacking us and stuff like that. But of course, they were a little bit surprised. They were a little bit calm about it and expecting him to stress there. It's no specific issue with an owner or sporting director, and believe he has adapted well since joining from Leicester City in 2024. The Italian will be reviewed this summer as part of the pre-planned and two-way assessment. Of course, at the end of the season, Enzo Maresca will be reviewed. The performance, Chelsea excited about it. Are they going to give him a contract extension? But you see, one thing that people do not realize is that even Enzo Maresca also, in that possible contract extension, reserve the rights to either accept an extension or not. So I know Enzo Maresca can decide, say, okay, or Chelsea for are good enough, or Bayern or more, that everything that they've been doing over there has been good. So he wants to work with them still, and he doesn't have any problems at all. Granted. That is something that's going to happen when it comes to Enzo Maresca and the conversation around Chelsea Football Club, which is very, very important. And yet Chelsea in that review, they can decide that Enzo Maresca should go. I mean, that is not going to be the only thing that's going to go on over there. And when you go on into the conversation, and Oshe, Jacobs Ben, according to Jacobs Ben, Enzo Maresca was surprised. According to Jacobs Ben, Maresca was so surprised, say, in the course of, say, the Chelsea boys, no, rock bottom of a sort. Now, in Kofo, good enough. No, they were not supported by the Chelsea sporting directors. They were not supported by the Chelsea owners. They didn't get the kind of support that they think that they deserve at Chelsea. So it did affect them. They were not happy, they were not excited, especially with Enzo Maresca and that is why he came out to come and say those things. And Maresca was surprised at the lack of support after the loss, especially against Atalanta in the Champions League. Maresca has perceived a lack of protection after other Chelsea losses as well, even though Chelsea insiders insist they unwaveringly backed the 45-year-old during a dip in form over the festive period last season and handed him a 5-year contract when he joined. Of course, Chelsea for there, they have always backed a brand friend Enzo Maresca and over there. I mean, I think that, see, when I posted that first video, a lot of people came and said that, Fifi, you like defending Enzo Maresca. You see, when people say defend, you defend things that you get something out from. I don't get anything from Maresca. In fact, if Chelsea loses games, you guys don't watch, and it affects me. Like, a lot of ways, views and, of course, revenue. So, I want Chelsea to win. But if any Chelsea news trends, I could have come to hit it up and say, oh, Maresca Nyade, so that you watch, because I'm saying the things you want to hear. But my job as an analyst, and the reason why I think people who are as intelligent as you guys always want to watch me is because I try to be as objective as possible. Even in the midst of a lot of people saying that, yo, we don't agree, this is how I see it. I say it respectfully and I stand by it. It's as simple as that. On all my social media, Facebook, Twitter, especially on Twitter, I'm just like that. That is who I am. That is my person. That is how I do my stuff. And for me, that is the only way I can do my job and do it well. So for me, it's about objectivity, right? It's not about protecting Enzo Maresca or man. I've always felt that where Chelsea were as a club, where Maresca have taken Chelsea to, has taken Chelsea to, I mean, it's not what Jose Mourinho did. It's not what even Claudio Ranieri did. It's not even what all of those Chelsea greats did. But the truth of the matter is that he has been good, right? He has done something that is huge and deserves some commendation. So yes, he has to be criticized. Who is beyond reproach? Nobody's beyond reproach. He has to be criticized if he's wrong. But then again, it should not be bottom barrel. It's not be I mean, some very bad approach to things. For me, if you do that, it becomes a little bit worrying for me to deal with people like that when it comes to Enzo Maresca and the things that he has to go on and then go and do a honum when it comes to the important role. Of course, and what we had, according to Jacob's bench, still, I see it has been made clear to Maresca that in January, Chelsea won't dramatically change to go and buy older players for him. They are still going to stick to the youth model. No? I think that Cole Palmer's return from injury is a super breath of fresh air to Chelsea for. In fact, in the last few days, those Chelsea players have been talking about it. Abrante's friend Wesley Fofana, Abrante's friend Cole Palmer, Enzo Maresca himself, Robert Sanchez. Almost everybody is accepting that the return of Cole Palmer to that Chelsea team has been super important. Now, if you listen to John Terry said that I am delighted to have seen Cole Palmer back in the team and playing in that number 10. And people spoke about why Maresca plays Cole Palmer sometimes in the let house space role. But of course, in this time, he played him where we all believe is the strong part of Cole Palmer's style of play, which is the right house space in terms of the number 10, where you're able to get his creativity for him to be an important player for the team. And of course, John Terry says that I'm not sure there is any more better in the world playing football in the number 10 role. If there is a player, if there is Palmer, certainly gives them a run for their money. That is what John Terry is saying. I mean, one of the things that came up after the game is that a lot of people criticized Enzo Maresca for playing Reece James and Abrante friend Malo Gusto. But I think that almost every time it comes down to results. When Chelsea wins, nobody really is worried about what Maresca has done or where he played Gusto or where he played Reece James. But the most important thing is, and what people say usually, is where Enzo Maresca, whether the team won or not. And so when the team wins, nobody cares, right? And that's exactly what happened against Everton. Chelsea won that game. Malo Gusto scored a goal. Reece James was important in that game. And nobody seemed to question Enzo Maresca about playing the players where they are. I think that it's important to view football from a structural point of view than just a nominal point of view. What do I mean? Then I'm a trainer says, oh, Shaboa. Time and I need a ball number 6, number 5, number 4, Enzo Maresca plays his football with the two wingers that hold the weight. He doesn't need anybody to hold the weight again. It's as simple as that. Have you ever asked yourself why fullbacks were doing the overlapping runs? Why? Anybody asked themselves why Pep Guardiola was doing that? Pep did that because he uses fullbacks to hold the weight, and then his wingers were inside wingers. So when you play someone like Cole Palmer as a 7, then you want him to come inside to influence the game. Then you play with an overlapping fullback. But if you play with a Pedro Neto as a natural winger, he marauders the byline. You don't need somebody going to overlap. You rather need somebody to underlap. And that's why Chelsea rather will keep Cole Palmer rather in the right house space to do the underlapping job. And that's exactly how he scored a goal. And then rather, Malo Gusto comes inside. So Malo Gusto rather was playing as the right-sided 8, sorry. And then Cole Palmer was playing as a right-sided 10. The ball came to Pedro Neto. Pedro Neto head onto it. Malo Gusto comes inside. Cole Palmer makes the inside run, which is the half space run. Then Malo Gusto slots him. Goal has come. You don't get this. I mean, it's the variation of the formation. People ought to understand. I mean, for me, I'll constantly do a job of explaining, understand, and trying to give the best explanations in terms of why certain things are done in football, because that's my job, right? And I'll go on with it. I'm not going to cut corners when it comes to stuff like that, because that is the most important thing when you talk about players of this nature in the current football. I mean, if you watch that game that Malo Gusto played, you can't take anything away from Abrante and Malo Gusto. In that game against Everton, he had a goal, he had an assist. It was the very first time he has done something like that. He made 5 defensive contributions, 4 clearances, 4 recoveries, 2 dwells won, 2 key passes as well, 1 big chance created, 4 long balls, 81 touches, and 62 passes. And of course, 2 over 2 shots on target. I mean, very, very important for Malo Gusto and what he was able to do for the team on the night. And I think that was very, very good when it comes to what Malo Gusto was able to do. I mean, we'll see. And of course, Chelsea need Malo Gusto to be playing well. It's just that Malo Gusto in that area of the pitch has been a little bit inconsistent. And Chelsea and Enzo Maresca will need Malo Gusto to come in and be very consistent and deliver. In fact, he has to deliver consistently just so Chelsea will be able to get the best out of the Maresca's comments. An internal issue will prompt further conversation as all parties try to get on the same page. And there's going to be clarity. Of course, Chelsea 4. Now Cole Palmer is in the top 10 in terms of league goal scorers. Chelsea 4 top 10 league goal scorers. And my brand friend Cole Palmer, 39 goals. 39 goals. That's what our brand friend Cole Palmer. I mean, a lot of goals for our brand friend Cole Palmer, which is good, right? Because Cole is able to come into the team, and just about 2 years, Cole has been at Chelsea Football Club. He has been a super important player for Chelsea for no. But like I said, just when Chelsea for Maresca and Senk Semni, there was a list of managers that could come in to replace Abrante and Enzo Maresca when he leaves. Of course, I found them absurd because, to be very honest with you, I don't think there's a single manager in that list that is going to be better at doing the job that Enzo Maresca started. In fact, in that list, there was the name of Frank Lampard, there was Zinedine Zidane. I don't even think that Zinedine Zidane can do the job. See, I always speak about Chelsea in the contest the club has been in. If you speak at Chelsea as if it was, you are picking up Madrid, you are picking up Barcelona, you'll be wrong. You need to always pick Chelsea in the contest. I've said it several times. I've tried to be hard on it and stuff, but that's my point, right? People can argue this. You need to speak about Chelsea with contest. If you speak with Chelsea and you don't add contest, especially the new Chelsea, you're making a hell of a mistake. But the managers that were linked to come and do the job, if Enzo Maresca is sacked, one Zinedine Zidane, former Real Madrid manager, French national team player, of course, won the World Cup. Gareth Southgate, former captain of the Three Lions, and of course, manager of England as well at some point in time. Liam Rossonor, that looks like a good brain, actually. Liam Rossonor, current manager of Strasbourg. Excellent manager. Top communication skills, impeccable. Everything that you want from a manager, Liam gives it to you all over there. Of course, Frank James Lampard as well. Also quality in the kind of job that he does. Brandon Rodgers. Well, we'll see how things are going to be. Then, of course, Erik ten Hag, also a part of the teams, the people that were there to possibly replace Enzo Maresca if he's sacked as Chelsea manager. Charlie, can you see the managers that they've linked Chelsea to? Erik ten Hag. Charlie, but people they play. Erik ten Hag. That's what will Erik ten Hag go and do? What is the quality of Erik ten Hag? How best will Erik ten Hag influence anything when it comes to Chelsea? The guy went to Bayern for Leverkusen, and it didn't even take him 3 months. He had to leave the club. But now people are saying that Erik ten Hag can become the manager of Chelsea Football Club when you look at things like that. Of course, I mean, I don't think that ten Hag is quality. I don't think I can make any difference at all over there when it comes to what Chelsea can do. Of course, over the weekend, it was a Brante Rafinha, who was the most important one for your friend Football Club Barcelona. He got the all-important goals for them. And Barcelona needed that reaction, that ability to stand up. And I've said it several times, if you want players that make a difference of Barca team anymore, Brante friend Rafinha, he makes a lot of difference. He is absolutely one of the best managers one of the best footballing brains that you can get on. But there's a big conversation. Should Barca choose a branch friend Ferran Torres when a branch friend Robert Lewandowski out, and should it be Ferran Torres, or should it be they should go and get somebody else from also? Because to be very honest with you, I think that Ferran Torres' performance has been good, very, very good, in absence of your friend Robert Lewandowski. The whole time where Lewandowski has been out of the Football Club Barcelona team, my friend Ferran Torres has stood up, he has counted, and he has been very, very good. And I mean, you need to consider him if you are bringing him a lot of strikers. Do you want to keep Ferran Torres, or you want to come in with a new striker? Remember at the time, Barca 4 were linked with Abrante and Eta Young. I mean, Abrante Levante, centre forward. Very important player when it comes to Football Club Barcelona. And the big question is that are they going to go on and then bring Abrante, your friend Eta Young, or they are still going to stick with Abrante, your friend Ferran Torres, who will stay there and then be a very, very important and be a very, very important one in terms of how good it's going to be. We'll see if Abrante, your friend Eta Young, is going to come, or Barca 4 are going to stick and stay with Abrante, your friend Ferran Torres, in terms of the quality of play, how well he's able to, how the good things Abrante, your friend Ferran Torres is able to come in. And now, there was some breaking news at Football Club Barcelona. Say Mohammed bin Salman, who is the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. Now, this news was really intriguing. It's set to make a 10 million bid to buy Football Club Barcelona. The truth of the matter is that Barca is gearing up for a presidential election in a couple of months. That is next year. So everybody is beginning to start the PR machines and propaganda stuff. That is the thing. Every one of them, all the people that want to come in. And one of the things that we hear is that Barca, when you look at the things that they want to go on, I'm going to overlay so nobody will go see yourself. So of course, but if you look at how Barca are going to do their job, how things have gone on at Football Club Barcelona, everybody's asking questions whether that is going to be the issue of Juan Laporta, whether Juan Laporta is going to be. Barca currently has a debt of 2.5 billion, which is very difficult to pay off according to all of the guys that are saying that. And the only obstacle is the club members and the socials. And of course, when you look at a club like Barcelona, because there are socials in the club, it's difficult for you to make certain decisions. I mean, the social essentially is Barcelona's General Assembly. You need to get everybody to agree that they accept or like the kind of decisions that you want to take. And something that I think is going to be difficult for people to, something I think is going to be difficult for it to be done at Football Club Barcelona, especially with the socials not really being in tune with stuff like that. I don't think the Barca are going to let the club go to somebody from elsewhere, especially from Saudi Arabia. I doubt that is going to be the case at Football Club Barcelona. But racing club Santander have denounced Barcelona with La Liga. Pablo Torre sailed to Mallorca. Of course, when you look at the conversation about Pablo Torre when he left Football Club Barcelona to go to Racing Club, it's been a very messy conversation over there. Barcelona last season, after 17 games, they had 35 points, 45 goals scored. Barcelona this season, after 17 games, have 43 points, 49 goals scored. Massive improvements. It means that Barca have improved from last season's performance. This is a team that last season had 35 points. This season has 49 points. And these are superficial numbers, right? Maybe if you want to do a proper analysis, you go deeper into the numbers and look at vis-a-vis whether what's the points gained in the Spanish La Liga is compared to other people that they are competing with. But then, of course, the superficial numbers are fine and looks as if Barca on a good track. I've said it several times that I think, say, the best brain to do the job at Football Club Barcelona has always been Hansi Flick, and he's doing an absolutely excellent job. For me, I think that Dita has been top-notch, and that's exactly the kind of job that he's doing at Barcelona. Barca need to keep him. They need to get him on there for a very, very long time. Barca have scored 100 goals, 100 league goals in 2025, the most of any team in Europe's top 5 leagues. It tells you how super Barcelona's team is in terms of the goals that they score, especially in attack. And mind you, at the later parts of this year, they've not had some very important players. They've not had Lamine, they've not had Rafinha, they've not had Pedri at some point, Robert Lewandowski, which is very, very important. Whether they'll be able to get them or not, we'll see how things are going to go on from there. Of course, there is that conversation around Marc-Andre ter Stegen. Is he still going to stay on and be Barcelona's player as the season wears on, or in January there's going to be a club for him to come in? But one thing I like about German coaches, and in this case Hansi-Dieter Flick, has been the honesty and straightforwardness. And when you look at Hansi-Dieter Flick, he was straight up with a goalkeeping issue. Hansi-Dieter Flick in the last pre-match press conference before Enediano has told everybody, say, oh no dear, it is about Abrantia, your friend Juan Garcia, only the Barca number 1. Nobody is the Football Club Barcelona number 1 but Juan Garcia. And for me, that is it with so usually people criticize Liverpool's coach Arne Slot about the treatment he meted out to Abrantes friend Mohamed Salah. But it's very honest. If you've ever listened to these Germans, Jurgen Klopp, Thomas Tuchel, these guys, they're actually very straightforward and honest. They don't mince words. For me, that's the best way to manage teams, and that's exactly what Hansi-Dieter Flick has been able to do. Barca will have to find a solution for Marc-Andre ter Stegen, for him to know where his future lies over there. There's going to be a big meeting between Juan Laporta and the agent Pini Zahavi, of course, representing the interest of Robert Lewandowski as to what this season is going to be like. What do they want them to do? Where do Barca see Robert Lewandowski as a player? Do they see him as a player that can come in and do a lot of things and has a future at the club? Or they see Robert Lewandowski as a player who doesn't really have a future at the club? Something that's very, very important when you look at those things. Of course, at Football Club Barcelona, there's some updates as well as we round up today's take here on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. Of course, there's some more. Xabi Alonso is in some crazy trouble, crazy pressure, and the good thing is that almost everybody is returning. Of course, what we know is that Hendrick is going to go out on loan to the French Liga, and that is Lyon this summer. He has no word for him. Hendrick has had a very, very torrid time at Real Madrid, but of course, I don't think it's the end of the road. I think that he just needs to be patient. He just needs to take his opportunities when they come and then make sure that he becomes another important goalkeeper again. And what we are hearing is that this midweek, there is midweek games in the Spanish La Liga, especially in the Copa del Rey. Barca will be playing against Tima. Barca will be playing a game, and of course, Madrid will be playing against Talavera, all in the Copa del Rey. We are expecting, Madrid for now going to put in a bench friend Andrea Lenin in the goal post to be the player amongst the goal posts as well. A win versus Alaves, Deportivo Alaves this weekend, equally down. See, Madrid is not a club that you manage to play good football. Nobody cares about good football at Madrid. What is important, what that club understands is winning. Whether it is winning every day or is making sure that you are constantly winning. That is what football club Real Madrid knows. They don't know anything about when you are playing well and all of those things. And that's exactly why immediately Xabi Alonso got a win against Deportivo Alaves. All of a sudden, all the noise around him has calmed down. Everybody has just shut up and they are saying that, oh, Madrid would prefer to keep Xabi Alonso as long as the results allow it. Of course, the game is a result-oriented one. Nobody goes into football and thinks that at the end of the day, you're just going to play football and put some 22 men on the field of play and that's all we'll be giving thanks. So that's happened like that for how much these guys are being paid. That is what the game is hinged on. It's about the results, and that is the most important thing. And that's what Madrid would want to do when you go to the football club Real Madrid. Brahim Diaz is obviously going to join the Moroccan national team for the AFCON. Just a couple of minutes when it comes to what the AFCON is going to look at. Brahim Diaz obviously is going to join the Moroccan national team tonight. Manchester United has a big game against Wolverhampton Wanderers. We'll see how things are going to. Go on from there. Manchester United are playing against what's his name? Are playing against Bournemouth and Areola. But of course, at Old Trafford, usually at Old Trafford, United tend to get good results against teams that come there. Waiting to see if that is going to be the case today. But Manchester United needs to keep up. For a team that hasn't played in Europe, these are the games that they need to go on and play and get a result. Ruben Amorim has found a way. The only problem, however, Brantia Efreno, Andoni Areola, who is the manager of Bournemouth, he's actually a very stubborn person to deal with when it comes to games like this. So Manchester United would have to manage that game very, very, very well. And we'll see how things are going to go on over. The Chelsea have turned off the press conference team, asking Enzo Maresca whether he has spoken with the hierarchy about his comments on Saturday. Of course, Chelsea for now. Of course, 3 hours ago, the news is that Chelsea have Gareth Southgate on their list of placements to replace Enzo Maresca. Of course, we'll talk about all of those conversations. Enzo Maresca didn't see anything when asked if he spoke to the owners or sporting directors after Saturday. And of course, Enzo Maresca has told them that this is something that he doesn't want to talk about. I mean, we have said that thing that he doesn't want to talk about these things. When he meets about focusing and getting the job done on him. When you look at the game, see that after in that pre-match press conference, Maresca went and said, win, lose or draw behind you when it comes to the games that Chelsea are going to play. People are asking questions of Chelsea sporting directors and whether they are doing a good job or they are not doing a good job and whether they are just putting things on Enzo Maresca. I think that, these things can be solved. Thiago Silva wants to return to Europe and has decided to leave for Menezes, free agent ahead of the January transfer window. Maresca, he says that I love the Chelsea support. They deserve the best. When I want to say something, I'm quite clear. We need to move forward. See, this is why I'm such a big fan of this guy. I like people who are straightforward though, Masa. Like, it's so easy for people to not be upfront and say the truth or not know how to say it. So when I meet people who can be honest, I don't play with them. Truth be told. That is the kind of guy Enzo Maresca is. Maresca swerves a rage bait question from the media. They ask him positives and negatives of being a Chelsea coach. I think a lot of positives are positive things for sure. Maresca says again that this is going to be his third semi-final since he joined the club. If we win tomorrow, it's a dangerous game, but things we are getting better and better in his opinion over there for Enzo Maresca. Maresca, of course, was getting annoyed when managers were trying to, the journalists were trying to push more when it comes to the conversation around whether he has issues with the sporting directors and what's not. And he said, actually, they should leave it clear. He's not ready to come and talk about things like that. They should just focus on things like that. Focus on the football when it comes to the games that they want to play, and they'll see how things are going to go on from there. Guys, let me draw the curtain here on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube on today's edition. Of course, I'll see you in the next couple of hours. I should see you. Bye-bye.